Folks, today on the Stoney Ridge Farm channel, we're gonna show you how to take tomatoes like this and make awesome, delicious tomato juice for you to drink at home. It's good, it's pure, it's real food. Guys, I hope you enjoy Food Friday.
I ain't afraid of work, I ain't afraid of play, I ain't afraid to get the job done and do it my own damn way. I ain't afraid of life, times like this. If you mess with my freedom, I'll tell you just what you can kiss. That's right.
Hey there folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to another beautiful day here on the Stoney Ridge Farm. Today is Food Friday and we have a treat for you guys. And it involves this critter right here. So today what we're gonna be doing is taking tomatoes, fresh tomatoes right from the garden, and we're gonna teach you guys how to make homemade tomato juice. Better than the store. Good stuff. Very good stuff, and you don't have to put it in the refrigerator. All right, folks, welcome to the Stoney Ridge Farm. This is your first time here. You're on a 150-acre first-generation farm project here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we do everything from canning tomatoes to working with cows to working on equipment. It's everything farming and homesteading here on the Stoney Ridge. So what we need first are good tomatoes. These are not vine-ripened tomatoes. These are tomatoes that I picked when they were slightly green. Just as soon as they started turning on the vine. You see that one's not quite as green as this critter right here. What you're shooting for is the reddest, ripest, most delicious tomatoes. And if you have yellow tomatoes, they'll work just fine too. This is just a different type of tomato than this, but they're both delicious and absolutely red ripe. All your tomatoes aren't going to come in at the same time, and they're not all going to be red ripe at the same time, so it's something that's important to know. You can still use one that's not quite red ripe, but the best juice is going to come from this right here. So you want to mix in just a few of your not so ripe tomatoes with your best red ripe tomatoes. All the tools we're going to use here, this is a canning kit. I'm going to post links to this stuff in the video description. That's a canning kit right there. There is a canning funnel that sits down in your jar. There is a magnet, which is good for picking up our jar lids when we got them in the hot steeping water, getting warm. And we also need this to pick up our jars when they're really hot. So I'll reach down and I'll pick up a jar, and that's how we'll remove our jars from our pressure canner. We have a pressure canner over here already warming up, and I'll post a link to an awesome pressure canner that we're going to use today in the video. The one that I have is vintage. It's my great grandma's, and I've got to take good care of it, so you won't find one like that. These are weights. These weights go on the top of the pressure canner. All we need is the 5-pound weight. So the way this works, that's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds. That's how much pressure is in the pressure canner, okay? All we need is the 5-pounder right here. I'm gonna hang on to that. We need a nice paring knife. This is a Dexter paring knife. I'll post links to everything again in the video description. We need pickling salt, a potato masher, and the awesome food mill. This is a food mill. Inside here are some grates, and there is a little spinning apparatus that crushes the tomatoes but doesn't allow the seeds to fall down through this mesh right here, and those seeds can be bitter, so you don't want to drink your tomato juice and get something crunchy in there, because that's kind of weird, isn't it? So that's what you need in order to get started. The next thing you need is a bunch of tomatoes, and you'll see all the tomatoes we have on the counter right now. All our canning jars are all laid out. Everything's ready to rock and roll, and we're starting to rinse the tomatoes. So let me take you over to the rinsing station, and then we'll bring you back and show you exactly what we do to cut up the tomatoes. You do not add any water here, guys, so just think about that. I'll show you exactly what you need to do. So these are our tomatoes, and I've already got some in the washing station. Basically, we want to take this sink and fill it about halfway full and let them soak for just a little while, and then we'll rinse them off real good. None of these have had any kind of sprays on them or anything like that, so we'll rinse them, and then we'll put them over here to be processed. Once they're processed, which means chopping them up, they'll go into this pot right here, and they will cook for quite some time, probably about 15 minutes until they get soft. Then they'll go into our canning jars after they go through the food mill, okay? So over here is our pressure cooker. This takes 7 jars right here. It's a pressure canner. Down there is a very important little item that keeps the tomato cans from touching the bottom of the canner. Right here we have some jars in warm water. These jars are in warm water to help sterilize them. So about 15 minutes in hot boiling water will sterilize them. Our lids are right over here, and we're gonna try 2 different kinds of lids, and these are steeping in moderately warm water also. You don't have to get them too hot, but you want them to get hot enough to where this little rubber gasket or rubber seal will get warm and help seal these canning jars off. So I'm gonna get busy in the rinsing process right here, and then we're gonna show you guys how we cut up the tomatoes and use the potato masher to mash the tomatoes down in here. Now you don't wanna get this too awfully full, because if it's too full, you won't be able to pick it up. And it's hot stuff, guys. So we've got our jars and they're out. They need to cool just a little bit before we put any tomato juice in them. This is a perfect opportunity for them to cool. The type of salt we're using here is Morton canning and pickling salt. It's important that you use pickling salt whenever you're canning, okay? Don't ask me why, but maybe I'll learn one day. Guys, post a comment down there. Tell me why it's important to use canning salt while we're canning. The iodized salt has iodine in it, and I'm told it'll help the jars lose their seal, and we don't want to lose the seal. So what we've got to do first of all, and I've got some of this pickling salt in a smaller container. Let me grab that. Oh, there it is. So I've got pickling salt already in a container here from Costco, and we're gonna again use 1 teaspoon per jar. 1 flat teaspoon, just like that. I'm gonna make sure we go ahead and do this first before we put our juice in. Just like so. And we'll go ahead and do 7 jars. We're doing this in sequences of 7 because 7 is how many jars fit inside that canner over there, that pressure canner. So we'll go ahead and get out all our jars and we'll put our salt in. We'll start chopping up tomatoes. I'll show you exactly how I dice the tomatoes and cook them down. So our next step, we've already rinsed and we're over here drying out a little bit. We're just gonna take our tomatoes and we don't have to worry about cutting the core out. We just need to cut out any bad spots. Like this tomato doesn't have any bad spots. All I'm gonna do is just cut it into 4 pieces, just like so. And I'm gonna toss it right over here into this pot. That's just how easy this is. You'll notice there's a bucket down here for all the scraps, and you'll also notice I don't have any shoes on because I'm in my house. This is my home. So we've got a bad spot right here. All we'll do is just cut down in there, get rid of that bad spot, put him in the yucky bucket, and go ahead and dice this guy up. All we're doing is cutting it basically into quarters. But if you have a tomato that's really, really big, kind of like this guy right here, you may want to cut it into 4 or 5 pieces. You don't have to worry about the core. All we're going to do is cut them into little pieces, just like so, toss them in the pot. So we'll go ahead and we'll get busy and we'll cut all these up, get them in the pot, and start cooking them down. Now there's a rumor that you can't can on a flat top stove like this. You absolutely can, and you can see that our jars right here are getting sterilized. We'll go ahead and turn onto medium heat, and we'll go ahead and we'll put our tomatoes right on the eye. These will cook down for about 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes, until they start becoming basically really mushy. It's not gonna hurt anything. You'll see all the juice. Tomatoes are about 95% water, guys, so a lot of water in tomatoes. We're gonna make some awesome juice right here. So we're gonna cook this down, and then I'll show you what we do next. So after about 3 minutes, you'll start to hear these things making noise. You wanna take your potato masher, and you just wanna mash down in here, just like so. Basically, they're trying to cook, and you're just cooking them down. You'll keep doing this until everything basically just turns to mush. You can see they're gonna cook down. If you fill this about that far up to the top, they're gonna go all the way down to about the halfway point. We just wanna make sure we have enough for our 7 jars to put into our pressure canner, which holds 7 jars. So this is what you get. I did add a few more tomatoes in here, and basically you just want them all cooked down to that consistency right there. Took about 15 minutes or so. Now I've got my pressure canner on here, and I've got it on low medium. Right now we'll go ahead and get this water warmed up, and you want to be careful when you're pouring this into your jars, and I'll show you some technique that'll help you out just a little bit. So we're going to bring this pot over to here where we'll crank the food mill. And again, the food mill is basically designed, you just turn this handle right here, and that helps to bring the seeds and the pulp over to the side, and the juice will start falling through. Once it stops falling through, back your handle up and do it again. Basically, it just smushes all the juice right out of your tomatoes. Separates the juice and the seeds and the pulp and the skin so that you don't have to fool with it. And right there is our beautiful tomato juice. So this is what we've got. We're ready to start pouring in our jars. We'll take our canning funnel and we'll just drop it in and we'll start pouring in our jars. Very, very simple, guys. If you're nervous about this and you think you've got too much in there, just get a ladle and ladle it out into your jars. We're just gonna simply pour right into our jars and we're ready to rock and roll. We're gonna go on over into the pressure cooker. Be careful, this is hot and you don't want your jars to be super, super cold. If they're really, really cold and you put this hot material in there, it's gonna bust the jar. So pour very gently and very slowly. You wanna leave about a 1/2 inch of headspace. Basically that is exactly where your canning funnel will line up. Next thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna take a kitchen towel, just like this, and I have these kind of lids, very, very handy to use, especially if you're recapping. I recommend these kind of lids for making juices because you're not gonna drink this entire quart of juice all at the same time. So it's important that you get it on there, nice and snug, and then this is ready to go into the pressure canner. Now these have already been warming up in water over there. You can use a lid and a ring, just like so. Very simple. Just like that, snug it down. Just be careful, these are hot, guys. And this is ready for the pressure canner too. So let's head over there. So into the pressure canner, all these will go. There'll be 7 in here. Then we'll put the lid on the top of the pressure canner. This is our lid. It basically goes on. Follow the instructions with your pressure canner. It locks in place, just like so. And then we'll put our weight on the top. 5-pound weight, and we'll leave that weight on. It'll jiggle for about 10 minutes, then we'll turn it off, wait till it cools, wait till the safety tab goes down, and we'll open it up and we'll have delicious, awesome canned tomato juice. You don't have to refrigerate it. You don't have to do anything, guys. You'll take it out, you'll sit it on the counter, let it cool. You'll hear the jars go boop, and that's the jar sealing. Just absolutely perfect, and then you'll have this forever. Now, I will tell you this, they'll keep for about 5 years if you can stand it that long. And I like to put Old Bay seasoning in my tomato juice. So once I open them up, I'll put a little bit of Old Bay seasoning in there and man, it'll knock your socks off. My mouth is watering just thinking about it, guys. Well, that's it. That's how you make tomato juice. I've got a lot more work to do here. I just want to show you guys exactly what I'm doing here today on the Stoney Ridge Farm in the kitchen, making tomato juice. That's how you do it. From A to Z, start to finish, awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge Farm channel. Please pound that like button. Stay tuned to the end and we'll show you the finished product.
Come on down to the Stoney Ridge. Bring your wife and bring your kids. We're living life pure and sweet. That's the way it's supposed to be, Stoney Ridge. Woo!
All right, from tomatoes to tomato juice, there's our finished product, guys. Awesome. That is going to be delicious. Some kind of a treat for me to enjoy for the rest of the winter. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. A taste of summer in the dirtiest, coldest part of the winter. I can't wait. Awesome. See you next time. Welcome to another awesome Food Fridays here on the Stoney Ridge Farm, and we don't have our tomatoes. All right, folks, well,